Hey, it's Shannon from iHeartRadio Canada, joined by James Arthur. Thank you so much for taking the time.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Of course, and happy album release week. How's it feel? Are you nervous, excited?
I'm not sure. It's always nerve-wracking putting out a body of work into the world. So yeah, but it's exciting because it's something a little bit different for me. So yeah, very, very excited.
Yeah, I was thinking about that with how vulnerable your songs are. That's got to be like that extra layer of vulnerability to not only come out with songs like that, but then to release so much of that into the world all at once.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and yeah, it gets more real when the closer you get to releasing it. I suppose I've been sitting on this material for the best part of a year because I wrote it just at the end of 2020. I had like 2-3 months intensive like writing. So the album is very much like a moment in time where I'm being quite vulnerable and talking about honest things on there. So yeah, yeah, all of a sudden it feels like, oh, people are going to hear this music. It's kind of scary, but it's what I do it for.
Yeah, exactly. And I've heard you talk about the fact that you recorded a lot of this in a different way that you normally would have, like a lot of people with the pandemic. Did that really influence the music that ended up coming out of it with how different you recorded it?
Yeah, I think just I was able to push the boundaries a little bit more, and that whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. I suppose there wasn't as many parameters. The usual process is you kind of go to LA for a couple of months, and then you write with some people in London, and it's this whole process of like collaborating with lots of different producers and stuff like that. Whereas, yeah, I guess again going back to the vulnerability thing, just having being in my own safe space where I was, could make choices that maybe I wouldn't ordinarily have made, and have as much input was kind of liberating, and I think it allowed the songwriting to be even more authentic than before.
That's so nice. I'm sure a lot of people feel the opposite way, so that's good that this was beneficial for you. Do you think that you're going to stick with this method then moving forward?
I think so. I've always like written a lot of the stuff on my own and then taken it into sessions and kind of evolved the production and stuff with people, but yeah, I kind of made all the choices on this one. So, and that feels good because I can kind of sit back and if people hate it, it's on me. If they love it, it's on me. And that's kind of fun.
Yeah, I was going to say that adds to the level of vulnerability because there's no one else to blame if it doesn't go well,
Yeah.
which I'm sure there's no way that it will.
It might tank, and then I'll be like on the phone to Ryan Tedder and Max Martin and these guys again. Like, let's get back to work.
Yeah, you're like, I'll come to LA. I'll do what it takes.
Yeah.
Did you have any goals going into this album of like kind of the sound you wanted to go for or like messaging?
Yeah, I mean, it started out as kind of like a therapeutic thing and like an experimental thing. Like, I was definitely on this kind of emo rock vibe at the time, and I guess there was a bit of a melting pot of like Juice WRLD and Post Malone and stuff I was listening to at the time, and then, again, there's this kind of emo rock movement was happening with like Travis Barker and yeah, like I said, Juice WRLD and MGK and those guys. So I was like, oh, I can do this. I can definitely give my interpretation of this vibe. It's the same sort of classic storytelling that you've become accustomed to if you listen to my music, but it was dressed up in a way that I felt was very authentic to me because I used to be in rock bands and I used to do that style of music before I was kind of the acoustic pop guy.
Yeah. How do you find that balance then? Because if you're, say you want to like do a new kind of sound that's new for your audience, but then also still keep that familiarity and that sound that the fans love, how do you find the balance between those two?
Well, I think like the true test for me is if you can translate these songs onto an acoustic guitar or a piano and they hold up. That's the true test of the songwriting, I think. Like, there's a song on the album called Wolves, which is like a trap, rappy, rocky thing, it's kind of mad. It's all bells and whistles, but then it can also be this beautiful piano ballad as well. So that was sort of the litmus test, I think. Is that the right term? Yeah, that was the kind of thing. So I think underneath, like I said, the way that it's dressed is either gonna deter some people, or it's gonna be like, oh, I can vibe with this, and then you get to the songwriting. It's sort of like an aftertaste, I suppose.
Nice. I'm excited for that one. That sounds amazing. That's so cool. I want to talk about the song Emily, because I find it so fascinating that you wrote this song about a future daughter. I find most people write that type of song when they have a daughter or when they have one on the way. But what made you, or what inspired you to create this song?
Yeah, well, not to like not to like put a depressing vibe on the interview or anything, but I was expecting one, and sadly it didn't work out. And you know, it was the very early stages of it all, but it was kind of felt very real, and it threw up some ideas for a song for me. As a songwriter, I'm always looking for interesting concepts, and yeah, I suppose the prospect of having a child made me kind of question myself, and like made me almost instantly grow up and be like, oh, what if she reads some of the, like, you know, negative press that was written about me or whatever, and like, you know, how would I be as a dad, and all those kinds of questions that I guess any body expecting a child would ask themselves. And Emily was a name that I've always kind of weirdly thought would be a cool name for my daughter. So yeah, that's kind of it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I'm so sorry to hear about your loss.
Oh no, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, that's going to be a difficult thing, but I definitely understand what you mean about having, like, looking at yourself and seeing how you would be in that situation and how you would change, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it definitely makes you, yeah, forces you to be introspective, for sure.
Yeah. How does it feel for you when fans come to you and they tell you how much your songs have impacted their lives and the big moments that they've had, like getting married and so many instances of love and things like that? How does that feel for you?
Oh, I mean, it feels incredible. I think, you know, when I, as a young man, like writing, you know, when I started writing songs and forming bands and things, I think that was always the goal for me. Because I'll never forget when I was a kid and my mum would play, you know, David Bowie, or like my dad would play Led Zeppelin, and like, you know, great music. I would, it moved me, and it changed me in some way. And that was always the goal. Yeah, I always wanted to make music that moved people, or could stand the test of time, and people could make, you know, it could be the soundtrack to their lives in some way. So that's always been the goal for me. And when people tell me, you know, we got married to your song or whatever, it's like great dream. The dreams been realized.
Yeah, you're a huge part of so many people's lives. That's incredible. When you're creating songs too, I know there's probably some sort of like thought that goes into it, like, okay, would this make a good radio hit and things like that? Is that something that you think about when you're creating songs? And now with TikTok being such a thing, is that something that you might think about with that as well? Like, oh, does this have a good hit, like a good yeah, like hit or part of the song that would really help benefit?
Yeah, I think, do you know what, like, for me, it's more about like the hooks in the song, like the melodies. I think, like, you know, is it memorable? If I remember a melody like 24 hours later, then again, that's kind of the test for me. I think I used to try and cater a bit more to the radio and stuff than I do now. Like, as you could probably tell when you listen to the album, it's like I've maybe turned the guitars up too loud on one or two of them, which some people will love and some people, you know, might not make it on the radio. But yeah, TikTok's an interesting one because I feel like there's anything goes. Like, I had a song called Trainwreck that went viral on TikTok, and I would never have thought that would be a single by any means. So I don't even know I don't know anymore. I have no idea what makes a hit, I guess.
Yeah, that's so interesting too. Yeah, you can't even like be strategic with it or plan it. It kind of just it happens on its own, right?
Unless you're Ed Sheeran, I don't think you can calculate that anymore.
Yeah, true. That's a good point. How was co-directing for the first time for your video S.O.S? How did that go?
It was one of the best experiences of my life because I had a very clear vision for the video when I wrote the song, and to see it come to life, working with Casey Locke, who really helped that. He's the guy that really made it come to life. But like, it was just amazing to collaborate on bringing like a really clear vision. Like, I knew I wanted to have all these broken people coming out of their homes and there being this moment of oneness and this epic crescendo to the video, and it came to life. So it was really, really cool.
Yeah, you totally nailed that vision. It's incredible. Is that something that we can see you do more of in the future, more directing and things like that?
I hope so. I didn't know whether I'd be able to pull it off, but it's had a great reaction. So I think I'm going to try and do a bit more of it.
Yeah, no, we'd love to see it. That's awesome. I also saw you wearing a straitjacket for a video.
Yes.
Right away, that just gave me feelings of like claustrophobia. I don't think I could even wear that for minutes. How was that?
I didn't last very long. I was like, I'm doing one take in this, and that's me done. But that was another one that I had a vision for. I wanted it to be in a mental health ward, and I'm kind of I'm sort of stuck in this white clinical room and going a little bit mad. So it was cool to see that again, see that come to life.
Yeah, that's incredible. So much to look forward to. And I feel like there's so many little teases with the album just almost being here. So I'm really excited for that. And congratulations on everything you've been working on.
Oh, bless you. That's very kind of you. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.